Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Are You Smarter Than a Libertarian? This is the second part of a four-part series on communism. I'm your host, Jeff Metric, your go-to guy for hard truths, bad jokes, and a whole lot of libertarian rants. Today, we're diving into something that is as much fun as a root canal, communism. But fear not, we're not just going to talk about it seriously. Oh, no, we're going to break it down, have a laugh, and hopefully you'll be left wondering why anyone ever thought this was a good idea. Now, before we get started, let's talk about the pillars of communism. Those are the big ideas that communism claims will make the world better. But spoiler alert, these pillars are about as stable as a stack of wet paper towels in a hurricane. Ready? Let's dive in. All right, pillar number one, abolition of private property. Sounds simple enough, right? The idea here is that everything, yes, everything, should be owned by the state. No private land, no private homes, no private anything. What's yours? Well, it's the state's now. So much for your backyard barbecue, huh? Hey, Project 2030, you'll own nothing and be happy. But Jeff, that sounds so equitable. You might be saying, everyone will have the same stuff. Yeah, everyone will have the same stuff, but only if they get permission from the government. It's like being told, hey, you can have a car, but we'll choose the model, the color, and oh yeah, it'll be the cheapest one we can find. Sure, that sounds like equity, but it also sounds like a terrible shopping trip. Nobody's excited about it. I know I wouldn't be. Look at the East German cars they made. And let's be honest, if you tell people, hey, we're taking your house, they're not going to start singing Kumbaya. You might get a pitchfork and a torch situation instead, or a bullet in the ass. That's why this pillar is so shaky. No one likes it when their property gets swiped. Moving on. Pillar number two, the centralized economy. Ah, yes, that old chestnut. The idea here is that the government controls all the resources, the production, the distribution, everything. You don't need to worry about supply and demand because the government will just magically provide. It's like asking your mom to cook dinner, but instead of her picking what's for dinner based on what you actually want, she just gives you soup every day for the rest of your life, and it's the same watery, bland soup. And the best part? No competition, because in communism, you don't need to compete because there's no incentive. There's no profit motive. It's all the same. No one's trying to outdo anyone. The result, your local pizza place becomes a state-run Pizza Hut. And trust me, that place isn't staying in business long. No one's going to line up for a soggy government pizza. It'll stay in business with government subsidies. Here's the thing. When the government makes all the decisions, there's no room for innovation, creativity, or just basic consumer choice. It's like being told you can only watch one TV show for the rest of your life. No variety, no options, just that one show, which, let's face it, sounds like a nightmare. Yeah, North Korean propaganda TV. All right, pillar number three, workers control the means of production. Now we're getting into the really fun stuff. In theory, this means that workers will have the control over factories, the businesses, and what's made. In practice, though, it's like giving your dog the keys to the car and saying, go ahead, buddy. Take us on a road trip to Scottsdale. It sounds great at first, but you're probably going to end up stuck in the middle of nowhere with a very confused dog at the wheel. And that's just the truth. There was a shop in Detroit or in Michigan that had workers own it, and it failed miserably in 6 months. Why? Well, because in a true communist system, there's a lot of power given to the workers, but no one's actually asking, hey, do these workers know how to run a factory? There's no business expertise, no management skills, just a bunch of well-meaning people trying to run a company like they're organizing a potluck. The result is chaos and inefficiency, and that's why it fails every time. And let's not even get started on the idea of workers owning the means of production. Look, I don't know about you, but when I'm at work, the last thing I want is to be in charge of deciding what happens to my company's profits. I'm just trying to get through my 9 to 5 without accidentally spilling coffee on my boss or myself. No one's signing up for this kind of responsibility unless, of course, you're also willing to handle all the problems that come with it. And guess what? People don't want that kind of responsibility. They want to be paid, not burdened with a job they don't want. That's why people aren't CEOs. All right, let's talk about pillar number 4. From each according to his ability to each according to his needs. This one is classic, and it's one of the biggest canards there is. It sounds like a fairy tale, doesn't it? But if you're not careful, it turns into a bad reality show. It's basically saying, hey, you're really good at, say, writing software. I'm great at eating pizza. So you give me some of your software, and I'll give you some of my pizza. bad trade, no one is in a better position. This all sounds great on paper. In reality, not so much, because people are different. Not everyone's needs are the same. The government doesn't exactly have a magical formula to determine how much you need. You might not even need a pizza. You might need a vacation, but guess what? The government's busy giving you pizza. It's just like Poland, when it was controlled by the Soviet Union, basically had no price mechanism and bought Sears catalogs to figure out how to do it. And it ignores human nature. People like to earn what they get. They don't want handouts. They want the opportunity to create something, to work and to better themselves. The problem with communism is that it assumes everyone's going to be perfectly happy living in a system where the government decides everything. Spoiler alert, people don't like it when the government is the ultimate decision maker on everything. That's how the Soviet Union was. They bought Sears catalogs to figure out how to price similar products in their system. And finally, pillar number 5, the dictatorship of the proletariat. Ah, yes. So after everything collapses and the workers rise up and take control, they set up what's called the dictatorship of the proletariat. Yeah, you heard that right. A dictatorship. For the people, sounds a little contradictory, right? You're overthrowing the elites only to replace them with, well, more elites. Look at the French Revolution, who just so happened to be wearing worker uniforms at this time. So this is where things really go sideways, because once the workers are in charge, guess what? They become the new ruling class. Instead of a factory worker, now you've got a government official with power and authority. Suddenly the promise of equality, poof, gone. You're right back where you started. It's a power grab in a shiny new package. So to wrap up these pillars that are failing miserably and have never worked, they sound nice in theory, but in practice they fail because they don't account for human nature, personal responsibility, or, let's be honest, the common sense reality that people don't want to live in a world where their government decides what they can and can't do with their lives. I hope you've enjoyed this little romp through the land of failed ideologies. Join us next time when we tackle another big idea in the part 3 of this 3-part series. New videos drop every day. Tomorrow will be part 3. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Turn on notifications. Remember, stay free, stay informed, and stay accountable. Have a great day.